チベットの伝統的な慣習に基づきまして、この肩という絹のスカート。
When I sort of meet people, I always refer as a human brothers and sisters. Indeed, I'm very happy, at great honor, meeting with parliamentarians of this great country, Japan. So I really feel great honor. Since late 60s, I had several occasions visit Japan, meeting with number of Japanese brothers, sisters, some sort of Buddhist leaders, and some scientists, some businessmen. So I'm quite familiar with this country. I always talk completely informal way and frank. So if that way something goes wrong with your tradition, then apologize. So sometimes the Japanese friend, they always remain very sort of reserved way. I don't like that. I would like to some kind of report to our friends here what I'm doing. Number one, I always consider myself as a one person out of 7 billion human beings. That level, we all same, mentally, emotionally, physically, same, and particularly Japanese physical sort of appearance, and we Tibetan quite similar. Now we 7 billion human beings. Everyone want happy life, and everyone have the right to achieve happy life. On that fundamental level, no barrier. The language difference or different race, different nationality, these are secondary. Basically, we are same human being. Today, we are in 21st century. Besides nature disaster, a problem due to nature sort of disaster, there are a number of problems which essentially our own creation. So, these man-made problems, actually, we too much emphasis on secondary level of differences, neglect about oneness of human level. So now, 21st century, I believe, and also many of my friends, many thinkers, many scientists, many educationists, and different sort of professions, many of them have the same view. Now time comes, we must think more, the global level, rather sort of emphasis your own sort of community or your own nation, your own sort of religious believer. So therefore, I always talk, we should have sort of concept of oneness of humanity. I always share with people, now time comes. You see, we should think, firstly, humanity, well-being of humanity. And then, you see, I think century-old concept, we and they. And between we and they, strong barrier. That is the basis of our sort of concept of violence. Through violent way, destroy them. We gain victory. Now today's reality. Now that no longer. Entire world heavily interdependent. So the reality itself now telling us, now we should act as a sort of same human being, or act as the interest for global interest, and on the basis of clear understanding, oneness of humanity. Now I think time comes, we must develop big we. Entire world is part of we, part of me. So through that way, see, you can develop genuine sense of concern of their well-being. So that, firstly, you see, more sense of concern of others' well-being. You yourself gain more self-confidence. With sort of concept or belief, all human beings, 7 billion human beings, we are same. They also have right to overcome suffering, to achieve happy life. There is no basis to cheat, to bully, to exploit, because you really take care about their well-being. So through that way, you get more self-confidence, more inner strength. That brings inner peace. You see, consider other is something separate from me. And then, in order to gain something, exploit on other, cheating other, bully, killing. All these negative things happen. Result, reality, we are social animal. Each individual's future depends on them. So if you exploit other, cheating other, bully other, that's actually very basis of your own happy future destroying. So therefore, for our own interest, we have to take serious care about others' well-being. So that creates inner self-confidence. With self-confidence, based on sense of concern of others' well-being, then all your activities can be transparent, truthful, honest, can carry, transparently. That brings trust. Trust is the basis of friendship. We need friend, isn't it? Artificial friend, not much reliable. Genuine friend must come trust. In order to develop trust, you should be honest, truthful. Honest, truthful, very much related with self-confidence, which is based on sense of concern of well-being of others. So this is nothing to do with religion. Biologically, you see, if we develop this kind of attitude, then your physical health also improve. Now some medical scientists, now they clearly mention that through their own research work. They already made clear. Constant fear, anger, hatred, actually eating our immune system. Other hand, more, compassionate mind, taking care of others. You see, that brings, as I mentioned earlier, you see, inner strength, like that. Also, some scientists say, people or person who telling lies quite often, that actually create more stress in inside. Honest, truthful. Oh, you see, you get more inner peace, like that. So that's my number one commitment. Now, second commitment. Now, on the level of I'm Buddhist monk. Usually I describe myself as a simple Buddhist monk. So, when we look global sort of level. Not only in the past history, but even today, sometimes religious faith also causing problem, more divisions, more sometimes conflict, sometimes violence. It's really very, very unfortunate. Suppose various different major rich traditions, suppose teach us practice of compassion, love, forgiveness, tolerance, then that itself causing more division or more sort of conflict. It's really very, very sad. One time in Argentina, on our meeting, some scientist, some religious leader, one scientist, the great quantum physicist, he mentioned, he, as a quantum physicist, but he should not develop attachment towards his own scientific field. So that's very important. Now, for example, I am Buddhist, but I should not develop attachment towards Buddhist faith. Because once you develop attachment, then your whole view becomes biased. Through that way, you can't see the reality of others. So many religious people, sometimes you see too much attachment towards one's own faith. Then, you see, from that biased sort of mind, cannot see the value of other traditions. So basically, all major world religious traditions all have same potential to bring inner peace through practice of love, compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, self-discipline, like that. So therefore, common ground, common practice there, and also common responsibility to serve humanity through try to bring inner peace and through practice of compassion, like that. And then philosophical field, there's big differences. Some say, oh, there is creator. Some say no creator, but self. Now, like Buddhism, no concept, Buddhism and Jainism, no concept of creator, but ourself as a creator, self-creation. So philosophical field, big differences, but doesn't matter. All different philosophical views, you see, supporting practice of honest, truthful, compassion, forgiveness, these things. So different philosophy is necessary because among humanity, different mental disposition, therefore, different way of approach is necessary. But same goal. Therefore, you see, we can develop genuine sort of harmony among different religious traditions on the basis of mutual respect, mutual admiration, mutual understanding. And in fact, with that kind of attitude, we can learn each other. So mutual learning. So it is really, if our mind, this human, also the marvelous mind, involve too much emotion, then difficult. But if we use human intelligence properly, then there is real possibility all different religious traditions live together and genuine sort of harmony. Look, India, I always tell, India is the living example. All major religious traditions live together. So nowadays, unfortunately, even you see now recently in Burma and I say Bangladesh, even you see the conflict, Buddhist and Muslim. Actually, no basis. I think essentially, I think the neighbors, their political or some economy, mainly I think economy reasons, which is some conflict. But then use the name of conflict between Buddhist and Islam. So similarly, you see among Islam, people themselves, Shia and Sunni conflict. In Christianity, same, or the follower of same to Master Jesus Christ. However, Catholics, Protestant fighting. And we Buddhists also, you see, sometimes, sometimes we also, you see, Pali tradition, Sanskrit tradition, although it's not much conflict, but you see some divisions. So like that. You see, this, we are not use human intelligence properly. We become slave of emotion. So we, not like other animals, we have this marvelous sort of brain. So emotion is concerned, other animal also is more or less same. But we have this intelligence. Intelligence is to show, such emotion is destructive. Such emotion is useful. So through that way, you see, we have the ability to restrain destructive emotion, to deliberately increase positive emotion. So that's actually the purpose of different religious traditions. So my number 2 commitment is try to promote harmony among different religious traditions on the basis of understand each different traditions of values like that. I myself consider genuine promoter of democracy. I'm not going to explain detail. So I have deep respect the member of parliament who elected by the people. So you are truly representing of people. So this is something like my report to you. Now, 3rd level, I'm Tibetan. Within Tibetan, I'm Amdo, come from northeast Tibet. So, and particularly here, you already have Parliament and Tibetan support group. Now you also, you see, mentioned now, you see, real sort of interest or concern about Tibet. So it is my duty to mention something about Tibetan problem. So when I explain about Tibetan problem, I'm telling few sort of the points. Number 1, ecology. Tibet, usually you see people call roof of the world. And according to some Chinese scientists, ecologists, they describe Tibet plateau as 3rd pole because the effect from Tibetan plateau to global warming as much as South Pole and North Pole. So they describe Tibetan plateau as 3rd pole. Then major rivers which cover from Pakistan up to China. You see, these rivers, the ultimate sources come from Tibetan plateau and Tibetan mountains, snow mountains, like that. So these rivers, I think, beyond or more than 1 billion human beings' life depend on these rivers. So protection of Tibetan ecology is not only interest for 6 million Tibetan people, but also interest for large number of people, including number of Chinese people. So ecology, or special care about Tibetan ecology is something very important. I don't think any connection about the Japanese or river, no connection about Tibet. But the main Asia, the Tibetan plateau is something very crucial. So already, due to carelessness about ecology and too much exploitation, like deforestation, the major river already reduced. And also, in President survey, unprecedented sort of unprecedented sort of flood. These things also happen. So already sort of problem due to carelessness of Tibetan ecology. So that number one sort of problem about Tibet. The second, Tibetan Buddhist culture. Perhaps I think they too much sort of presumptuous, but it seems to see now many Western Buddhist scholars and also you see some scientists, they sort of recognize Tibetan Buddhist sort of knowledge is quite sort of useful. So therefore, preservation of Tibetan Buddhism and Buddhist culture. Buddhist culture means culture of peace, culture of non-violence, culture of compassion. Now that I think is really worthwhile to preserve. And after all, millions of Chinese Buddhists, according to some information, over 400 million Buddhists already in China. So therefore, preservation of Tibetan culture. Tibetan culture means Buddhist culture with Tibetan Buddhism. It's not only interest for 6 million Tibetan people, but several millions of people in Central Asia, including China, like that. So therefore, these two things, I feel something important. Then, because of damage environment, and also, you see, sometimes some narrow-minded communist officials, you see, they feel so long Tibetan Buddhist culture, Buddhist faith there, some, you see, fear. That's a source of danger of separation. Therefore, you see, they really try to diminish, you see, these Tibetan Buddhist culture. That's actually, I always telling my Chinese friend, look, India, North India, East India, South India, West India, different language, different script. No danger of separation. The concerned people satisfied. Then, no danger. So therefore, preserve our own Tibetan culture, Tibetan language, no threat of separation. If they treated Tibetan realistically, sort of rightly. Therefore, that's another thing. So because of that, this resentment to the Chinese authority. Therefore, human rights violation immensely. Yeah, as some of our friends is already mentioned. So these are, then it's the political side. Now I already completely retired political responsibility. So I have nothing to say. If I, in reality, already retired, but then take opportunity to explain some political thing, then my sort of act become hypocrisy. One way say retired, one way say something, that is not nice. So therefore, I have nothing to report to you, like that. So then, finally, I very much sort of pleased among the parliamentary member, some female parliamentarian, quite some, yeah. So I'm very much happy. One time in European Parliament, I had opportunity to talk. So, among the European Parliament member, many female there. So I express, I'm very much pleased. Oh, and some female parliamentarian, quite attractive. So very good, wonderful. Thank you. So you, male and female, now enjoy equal right, equal status. That's very, very important. Sometimes we, different part of the world, sometimes you see, little discrimination on the basis of sort of sex like that. That I think old-fashioned. Now we must sort of catch up 21st century's reality. Thank you very much. Now some questions.
Thank you very much for your presence at Japanese Diet, and we are very honored to listen to your enlightening talks. And we'd like to ask, what kind of first steps that we can do at this our diet body and to help Tibet? Would you please give us some advices?
In many parliamentarian group, when I met, I request some parliamentarian group visit Tibet, perhaps including some ecologist expert visit. And then also, I think those area also, yes, those area which now very sad sort of self-burning, you see, things that happen. So visit. I always ask the Chinese government, please now thorough investigate. What is the causes of these sort of sad things? So I think, perhaps I think totalitarian sort of system, the official on the spot may not report clearly to the high authority. So some foreigner, including some media people, and particularly the parliamentary member, visit. Perhaps the senior authority or the leaders of people from China, I think, may get the true picture of the situation like that. So that is, I always see it mentioning or request on parliamentarian sort of member visit Tibet. And frank. So if that way something goes wrong with your tradition, then apologize. So sometimes the Japanese friend, they always remain very sort of reserved. I don't like that. I would like to some kind of report to our friends here what I'm doing. Number one, I always consider
チベットの伝統的な慣習に基づきまして、この肩という絹のスカート。
When I sort of meet people, I always refer as a human brothers and sisters. Indeed, I'm very happy, at great honor, meeting with as a parliamentarians of this great country, Japan. So I really feel great honor. Since myself as a one person out of 7 billion human beings, that level, we all same, mentally, emotionally, physically, same, and particularly Japanese physical sort of appearance, and we Tibetan quite similar. Now we 7 billion human beings, everyone want happy life. Late 60s, I had several occasions visit Japan, meeting with number of Japanese brothers, sisters, some sort of Buddhist leaders, and some scientists, some businessmen. So I'm quite familiar with this country. I always talk completely informal way